I did a video yesterday talking about my concerns with what I saw as messaging that was a poison within the episode of The Wild Blue Yonder. I know people are going to look at this and say Doctor Who has returned to form, ignoring the fact that this entire episode exists as a layered lasagna to hide the poison of RTD's personal politics, sexuality, and ideology. It's going to prove to have been extraordinarily prophetic, considering I didn't see this video until today, thanks to Purple Valkyrie.
Yeah, and I often think the characters and the action are for the adults, and the messaging for the kids, and the messaging for the kids.
RTD's personal politics, sexuality, and ideology, which is not for the adults, it's for
the messaging for the kids.
So in case you think that I'm doctoring, editing, or putting this video out of context, the link to the original video from the Royal Television Society that was recorded on November 23rd, I think, of 2023 is in the description below.
Yeah, and I often think the characters and the action are for the adults, and the messaging for the kids, and the messaging for the kids.
This is too important not to talk about. I'm not making this video for clicks. I mean, look, dude, I don't get big views. What I am trying to do is get people talking about this. Why this is important is because Russell T Davies also in this interview talks about the whole reason that he came back was he was going to be allowed to do this. And not only that, but he came back because Disney is going to take what he's doing and boost it from the UK into America.
It'll drop all over the world on Disney+. It's on BBC in Britain, on the iPlayer. The rest of the world, it's on Disney+.
Only they're not going to bring these mediocre 60th anniversary specials with them over to Disney. No, it's only going to start with I'm coming out. I want the world to know.
The big launch is going to come with Shooty's first season. If you're thinking why you haven't seen great big adverts across the world on Disney+ now, that will come next year. They're going to do the big push.
So I'm going to conjecture that the reason that's happening is because they don't want this new generation that Russell T Davies is sending all of these
the messaging for the kids. The messaging for the kids. Actually.
Messages to is to know Doctor Who as anything other than.
Was it me or was Isaac Newton hot?
He was, wasn't he? He was so hot. Oh. Is that who I am now?
Did that have a reason for Russell T Davies to come back to Doctor Who and do this?
The messaging for the kids.
And put his personal politics, sexuality, and ideology in Doctor Who, despite massive fan backlash.
How convinced are you that there is a space for a drama, a program like this that does span those generations, that does bring families together?
Well, we'll find out. It's very,
That's a very good point, yeah.
So that begs the question, is Russell T Davies a fan of what Disney Plus has been doing, of the content that they've been putting out, which has failed in the MCU, in Star Wars, you know the list.
I've watched things like Stranger Things and all the Marvel shows and Star Wars things getting acclaim, and I love those shows. And I thought Doctor Who is as good as those. It has a heart as good as those. I think it's better than those, to be honest. And we'll find out.
This, which is being rejected by the UK audience, not just one special, but two specials with declining viewership, the lowest of David Tennant's career. What's different? Well, let's hear from Russell T Davies.
What's been the big sort of change this time around?
It's different. It's not that different.
So are we crazy? Am I crazy? Is most of the legacy of 60 years of Doctor Who fandom, are we all crazy and bigots and racists and phobes?
You can imagine that on and on. You could have David and Catherine would have run around the streets and fought a meep. Maybe the meep would have been a man in more furry skin or something. But it really is the same show. Feels very.
I don't know. Maybe there's something else different, Mr. Davies.
Well, it feels the same to write it, but it feels like 2023.
Ah, it feels like 2023. It feels like current year.
This would be the same whatever you're writing. It feels like today. And that's important.
That's important. The message is important. The message directed at children.
So the messaging for the kids.
Where the funny stuff is for the adults, based on Russell T Davies, politics, sexuality, and ideology. That's important.
But equally, it's like we always try to go too far. We always have to cut back. It's the same old thing, really.
Except the show already went too far. It went too far years ago. And your response to that was, no, you're not going to change it because Chibnall is your buddy. And instead, you're proceeding forward down the same steep incline, only this time you have Disney bankrolling what you're doing, and Disney reportedly paying you a very large fee up front.
So the messaging for the kids.
For your writing and show running work, if I'm understanding it correctly, as opposed to you getting residuals from the episodes. What does that say about the faith that maybe you have as a writer and who's going to watch this and its longevity? What does that say about Walt Disney? Oh, Jesus, what isn't there not to say about Walt Disney?
So perhaps for you then, it's more that society's changed in the last 20 years and you want to reflect that, which is quite,
I mean, it's never not going to change, is it? And I hope I try to keep doing that. I think it keeps you young, frankly. It's trying to write what the world is now. I feel that very much as a gay man, actually.
Why do I have a feeling that a speech or a rationalization is incoming?
One of the things that drives me mad, and I'm also very glad of, is that whenever you get an election...
Oh, Jesus. Orange man bad.
Or some fuss in the news.
A fuss like in Ireland with those kids? A fuss like in France? Talking about the streets of London, Birmingham? That kind of fuss?
Someone will bring up homosexuality or rules about gayness.
I haven't heard a lot of news about rules about gayness. If I'm wrong, please tell me in the chat.
Or things, gay rights, things we're allowed to do.
What is it that you're not allowed to do? I mean, I'm confused. This can't have anything to do with children, right?
And suddenly we all have to sit there and defend ourselves and say why we're allowed to exist. And we have to hop about like cats on a griddle saying why we're allowed to even stand in a public square and be yourself.
Does that sound right to you? I mean, if it does, just tell me in the comments section below. I mean, I don't know. Maybe Russell T Davies is spending a lot of time in Saudi Arabia? Pakistan? Afghanistan?
Although that's terrible, I kind of think, well, at least it keeps me in tune with what's going on.
What's going on? Seriously, Russell, what is it that's going on?
I kind of think the progressive politics keeps you open to the state of the world.
Yeah, except that your country has rules against free speech, and if somebody makes a joke on social media, the cops show up and arrest them. You guys put people in jail for expressing opinions that aren't progressive.
Even though Doctor Who is a program that travels space and time, it is political with a small p at times, isn't it, in terms of the stories that it tells?
I think it's with a capital P sometimes.
Doctor Who has always been about Doctor Who in science fiction. There were allegories in this, and this is the same damn thing. Like with Star Trek, like with a whole lot of other shows out there, where complex issues were presented and the Doctor took a firm moral stand in certain situations. Doing the right thing is not the same as what we've been getting during the Chibnall era, and now apparently what we're getting during this next Russell T Davies era, where he's messaging his ideology, sexuality, whatever else, to children.
And that's not to be progressive. It's just like breathing. So the messaging for the kids. That's who we are. That's how you live in the world. That's what these kids here will be. That's what they're growing up in. That'll shape the future.
That's what they're growing up in. That's been manufactured by the media and the largest entertainment company in the world, pushing that agenda in the same talking points and messaging as you, to great financial distress. The difference, of course, being is that the BBC is paid for through what I consider to be theft. And there's no real consequence for creating a product that doesn't reflect your culture, its values, or what people want to watch, because people don't want to be brainwashed.
So the messaging for the kids.
We're talking about taking a man at his word. We're talking about looking at a comment made in context. We're also looking at the relationships involved in enabling that person to gain worldwide access to your children.
So the messaging for the kids.
To, in my opinion, talk about his sexuality, ideology, pushing the pronouns, probably pushing climate, probably pushing all of that. There's too many people, you know what I mean? The whole Greta thing.
There's the gags and the action at the top, and then there's the messaging somewhere in the middle, in the bottom as well.
And the characters and the emotion.
Of course.
Yeah. And I often think the gags and the action are for the adults and the messaging is for the kids. Actually, it's that way around.
It was exhausting making this video. I'm salty traveling C. Tell me what you think. Again, I'm not saying this. Russell T Davies is.